paint peeling off them old brick signs. Folks work hard, keep their heads down, trying to hold on to better times. Used to leave your door unlocked at night. Now everybody's got a camera on. Still got faith if we get it right, we can fix what's gone wrong. Ain't about talk, ain't about show. It's about the way we live, the way we know. Let's get back to dirt roads, back to porch lights. Never standing up when it ain't polite. Cold beer, hard true stars up above. A little less noise and a whole lot of love. Red, white, blue ain't a trend we chase. It's sweat on your shirt and calloused hands grace. If we're gonna stand, we don't stand apart.
Welcome into Apex News Above the Noise. I am Kyle Thompson.
And I'm Craig Blanton.
Craig, did you have a good weekend?
Busy weekend, just like today. I told you we whacked down 2 peach trees and an apple tree because I'm tired of fighting the deer and tired of fighting the squirrels.
Just anti-fruit. Just anti-fruit. Just go ahead and say it.
No, not that. It's just darn between the frost, the squirrels, and the deer.
Yeah.
Don't matter how many I take out. They just keep growing more.
Well, we have got a packed story. Just tons of stuff happened over the weekend, and tons of things happened today, and we're going to get right into that here in a second. But before we get into tonight's show, welcome to Apex News Above the Noise. If this is your first time coming, welcome. We built this show so you have somewhere to go for real news without the spin. If it gives you anything to think about or something you want to hear in the future, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification button as well. It costs you nothing, but it means a lot to us, and we are very thankful for it. We will get right into it tonight. Our first story, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina died Saturday night, July 11th, at the age of 71. His office confirmed in a statement in the early hours of Sunday that he had passed away from a brief and sudden illness. He had no known health issues, although they have come out and said that he had some plaque buildup that may have caused the aortic dissection. His top staffer told NBC News there was no indication Graham had been feeling unwell before Saturday evening. The preliminary cause of death, according to the Office of the Medical Examiner of the District of Columbia, was aortic dissection due to arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease, which is a tear in the main artery carrying blood from the heart caused by gradual hardening and weakening of the arterial walls. Emergency services were called to his Capitol Hill home for chest pains. A later radio dispatch confirmed CPR was in progress. Graham's father died of a heart attack at age 69. Graham was 71. He first won election to the House from South Carolina in 1994, moved to the Senate in 2002, and served for 4 full terms before dying while running for a 5th. A retired Air Force Reserve colonel and JAG officer, he brought a military lawyer's rigor to everything he did in the Senate. He ran for president in 2016. He famously called Donald Trump a jackass on stage. And in 2016, and in the years that followed, became one of Trump's most steadfast Senate allies. He chaired the Senate Budget Committee, served on the Judiciary, and was the chamber's most consistently vocal hawk on Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and NATO. He had been a guest on Meet the Press 63 times. He was scheduled to actually Sunday morning. The chair was empty, unfortunately. Craig, Graham spent the last week of his life in Kyiv, his 10th visit to Ukraine during the war. He personally told Zelensky, and there were 6 hours, I think, that he spent with him, that the White House was backing the Russia oil tariffs bill. He flew home, told Trump he was tired, and died that night. For a man who defined himself entirely by service and by American foreign policy, how do you think history will remember Lindsey Graham?
Well, they nicknamed him the Senate Whisperer because he talked so much with President Trump. But he'll go down as a war hawk. We discussed him Friday. And remember.
Yep. We did. We actually had video, yeah.
Yeah, and I joked about going over to Ukraine and they're putting the poison on him, and he coming back. And then lo and behold, 2 o'clock in the morning, you're asleep, but I'm texting you at 2 in the morning saying Senator Graham just passed away. And they came up with that aortic dissection, but he's going to go down as a very consequential senator for numerous reasons. He'll be an all-time great senator, I believe.
Yeah. Graham's death leaves a safe Republican seat. There's no indicate they could essentially run anybody out there. I think whoever runs for that seat will win it, but is open at a critical legislative moment. Under South Carolina law, Governor Henry McMaster can immediately appoint a replacement to serve out Graham's term. He did that less than an hour ago. He has named, he has named Senator Graham's sister, Darlene Graham Norden, as his replacement. She will serve out the remainder of that term until January 2027. A special election must also be held on August 11th to determine who appears on the November ballot as the Republican nominee for the full 6-year term. The filing period will open on July 1st. Representative Nancy Mace, who lost her bid for the Republican gubernatorial nomination in June, is strongly considering a run, although you and I talked about this before we went here. She came in 5th in the governor's race, and it wasn't even really all that close.
No, she got beat badly. I mean, badly is even a nice word.
Yeah, Trump told reporters Sunday he already has somebody in mind, but that it was way too soon to discuss publicly, and then heaped specific praise on Governor McMaster, calling him a really good governor, a really good guy who would do the right thing. Tributes came from across all political spectrums. Zelensky called Graham, who he called Lindsey. You know, they were like Volodymyr and Lindsey. It could have been an odd couple story right there if they'd ever decided to make a show on it. Zelensky said he was a true defender of freedom. Benjamin Netanyahu said he and his wife were grieving with the American people. Joe Biden, who clashed with Lindsey Graham regularly, praised his belief in the profound importance of public service and his love for the Senate as an institution. And I want to pause there for a second before I talk about anybody else. For all the things that we say about Joe Biden and Barack Obama or even Donald Trump when he messes up, it is good that in a time like this that Joe Biden, and Donald Trump has been guilty of not doing this at times, Joe Biden gave credit where credit was due and said something nice about the man. And everyone can take a lesson from that and leave that
right. Yeah.
What it is. The legislative consequence that matters most immediately, the bipartisan Russia oil tariff bill that Graham personally carried to Kyiv on Friday, guaranteeing Zelensky the White House was backing it, is now without its most vocal Senate champion. The Save America Act and election integrity, which Graham co-sponsored, also loses its most prominent Senate advocate. And on a Senate Appropriations Committee where Republican margins are thin, razor thin, subtracting Graham alongside McConnell's continued absence, who they're both on that, by the way.
Right, and the August timeline. If something happens to McConnell.
makes the math for major defense legislation even more meaningful and harder for everyone involved. Craig, the Russia oil tariff bill is now without its Senate champion. The NDAA is on the calendar. South Carolina's special election is going to be August 11th. Trump has somebody in mind and has praised McMaster extensively. What does filling Graham's seat actually require right now? And is there a realistic timeline to get someone credible? Although I will say this, now that his sister's in place, who is a staunch Republican and supporter of President Trump, fills a couple of those holes already at this point.
Yeah. If she throws her name in to fill in the from August to January race without running for office, that'll solve that problem. But if she doesn't, and then they'll have to run in August, then they'll have to run again in November, right?
Well, the Republicans will run somebody in August, and that's just a primary, though. That one in August is just a primary, and then whoever wins that is going to have to run in that November.
Yeah, they'll have a 2.5. See, so
there have been discussions. Yeah, there have been talks about Nancy Mace. There have also been talks about Trey Gowdy, who I think
that's who I would support. Yeah,
yeah. That for those of you who don't know who Trey Gowdy is, he has been a Fox News contributor multiple times, even hosted a show for a while with Jason Chaffetz. But he is a firebrand prosecutor, and he's about as Southern as they get. If you the old Southern gentleman idea, but he's
an older version of Ben Gill. Is that his Representative Gill at
Brandon
Texas?
Gill? Brandon Gill out
of Texas. Yeah. He's a older version of that. He's friends with our rep, James Comer.
He is.
And he seems to be well prepared, like John Kennedy, Senator Kennedy, on all the issues when he was, they would hold various hearings.
And however, he did walk away from politics. He did not lose an election. He voluntarily walked away.
He left.
And
But the
decided
U.S. Senate, that's a whole different game.
It is.
That's a historical seat.
It is. My take is that Lindsey Graham was a complicated man in a lot of good ways and many of the best ways. He began his national career calling Trump a jackass, which I think, even J.D. Vance, butted heads with Trump on many things.
And look at them today. Both of them.
Yeah.
And his number one backer.
And Trump has said for many months and many years that if you just sit down and get to know me, look at Bill Maher right now. Bill Maher still calls him out, but
he's getting smoked.
He's a changed guy.
He definitely, after that dinner,
yeah,
he is getting Bill Maher's getting smoked by the left every time he says something positive about Trump.
I will say
a lot lately.
I will say this: that Lindsey Graham was a war hawk of the biggest variety. You and I have not always agreed with Lindsey Graham. We believe in the Iran process if they go ahead and do what they need to do. We do not agree with the Ukrainian process because it seems like there needs to be negotiating a peace deal there, and doesn't seem
you can't trust Russia just like you can't trust Iran.
Yeah. But whatever your politics, that is that's a life well lived. And fully in service to the causes he believed in. This is a man who served in the military and believed everything that he said. The Senate will be different without him. My timeline on my YouTube For You page will be different because it seems like there was always Lindsey Graham saying something on there. South Carolina's governor faces decisions with real legislative stakes. He's already filled that, so that's great. Now we have to figure out who's going to run in that special seat. I would hope that the South Carolina Republican Party would work with President Trump and the governor and essentially put all of their force behind one person. We don't want a 2-week all-out war.
Benjamin Netanyahu's number one backer was Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
And Netanyahu came on early Sunday morning and just praised Lindsey Graham for all he's done for Israel over the last couple of decades as being their number one supporter. And he's backed them on their thing with going after Iran, which I do too. And just go in there and finish the darn job. But we lost a giant in Lindsey Graham. One senator even Sunday morning called him an unguided missile to support what you said. If he believed in something, he went at it hard.
Yeah. And kudos to anybody who does that. If you can stand up and argue your points and do what you need to do, good on you, because that's that.
Oh, that's I know who it was. It was Senator Cory Booker.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Said that. He gave him a great compliment. I posted that on those and several other Lindsey Graham things on my page Sunday.
Yeah,
but Cory Booker gave him, Senator Booker from New Jersey, gave him just a great compliment.
Well, Darlene Graham Norton, his only surviving relative. He wasn't married, didn't have any children. She is his only surviving relative. His sister will now serve out the rest of his term, which will end in January, and there will be a special election in August.
And remember, when he went into the military, he got legal guardianship over her because their parents had passed. His father passed first, and I think his mother went after that. And
15 years old.
Yeah, and so he took legal guardianship of his sister and told her, I read one account said, I will take care of you the rest of my life. That's the mission.
Yeah, and she said that now she's going to take care of his seat. So it's good stuff.
Yep, I agree.
We are going to stay right here in Kentucky for our next story tonight. And this is a big one. We talked about it. News breaking out of Frankfurt today that has significant implications for the 2027 governor's race and for the state of the Democratic Party here in Kentucky. Late this morning, Governor Andy Beshear's office confirmed in a news release that Rocky Atkins served his last day as the governor's senior advisor on Friday, July 10th. Ray Perry, Secretary of the Executive Cabinet, has been named as his replacement. Fox 56 News has separately confirmed that Atkins plans a formal campaign announcement event later this month, on July 21st in Lexington, and in one in Louisville on July 22nd, where he will announce that he is running for governor. Beshear's public statement on Adkins' departure was warm but deliberately non-endorsing, oddly enough. He said, quote, "Every day Rocky shows up ready to serve the people of our Commonwealth," Beshear said, "and I know his commitment to public service will continue to drive him in this next chapter. I wish him, Leah, and their family all the best." That is the language of a governor who is threading a needle, if you will, because Rocky Adkins will now be the second member of the Beshear administration to seek the governorship. Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman announced her candidacy in April, actually the weekend of Derby. Beshear's senior most advisor and his lieutenant governor are headed toward a Democratic primary against each other for the right to succeed a two-term governor who is constitutionally ineligible to run again. Quick background on Adkins for those who may not know. He's 65 years old, might turn 66 relatively quick. He's from Sandy Hook in eastern Kentucky. He served 33 years in the Kentucky House of Representatives, 16 of them as House Majority Leader. And he can read a bill and all of the things that are happening parliamentarian-wise as quickly as anyone in the entire world. That guy can read it off quick. He ran against Andy Beshear in the 2019 Democratic primary, came in second, lost by 6 votes. I think you reminded me
6%,
earlier.
6%.
6%. I said 6 votes, 6 percentage points.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. He joined Beshear's administration in December of that year. He has been one of the governor's most visible political allies, one of the most recognizable Democratic figures in the state. Craig, Rocky Adkins walks out of Beshear's office on Friday. He now plans a governor's race announcement before the end of July. He becomes the second member of the Beshear administration to enter the race after Lieutenant Governor Coleman. And Beshear issues a statement that is warm and friendly, but says absolutely nothing about who he is endorsing. Why is a governor with Beshear's political skills finding himself in a position where two of his most trusted allies are now going to duke it out? Yeah. And he's going to have to say something. I mean,
look at the text. Did you see the text I sent you just a second ago?
No, look at it right now.
Well, Rocky's gonna Northeast Kentucky. He owns. I've met him a few times. I was on Allison Lundergan Grimes back in my Democrat days. I was on her transition team for Secretary of State and met Leah Atkins, just super nice lady. And when my son was looking for college, Rocky called, Jerry Lundergan gave Rocky Atkins my number, and he called while we were at Moorhead because he played basketball there, and along with several other people to get my son to go there. He ended up going to NKU for engineering, but he is a very, very nice guy. He is super sharp. He knows politics like anybody my age could think about knowing. He's personable. He knows how to. He's got Governor Carroll's quality of making you feel like he's got you've got his 100% attention. He's not looking for somebody richer or more powerful to talk to while he's talking to you. He's a genuine guy. I ain't nothing at all bad to say about him.
I will say this.
I have to check and see if he eats at Da Vinci's Pizza, because the lieutenant governor and her husband were there last night.
Yeah, well, I will tell you this. You mentioned a couple of the names and what you just said there.
Mm-hmm.
I have learned through rumor and conjecture, I should say, but a pretty good source, that Rocky Adkins is going to bring on Allison Lundergan Grimes as his running mate.
Oh, okay.
Heard it here first.
Well, yeah, because I hadn't heard that. I mean,
that's that the offer has been made. There has not been a decision.
Yeah, I used to, when I'd go into Rupp Arena, Allison's house is across from Rupp.
Oh yeah, I've parked there. I've parked there.
So,
I've parked there.
Right, exactly. And so I had to code to her garage, and I still love her dad to death. And this is going to be such a fun race to be, and I want us to be one of the go-to people, because that text I sent you,
Yep, I saw it.
The podcast they mentioned, Rocky Atkins appearing on, it's him and his brother's podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've known them since they were, well, their dad was Governor Patton's constituent services director.
That name looks familiar now.
So I knew them. I knew those boys since they were like 5 years old, and the older one played basketball at Moorhead.
Yep. Well,
so a lot of ties, a lot of Eastern Kentucky ties for Rocky, and he's going to be formidable on the Democrat side.
He will be formidable. I love the way you put that. He will be formidable on the Democrat side. We'll get into that right now. Some context on why the 2027 governor's race carries real weight. Governor Beshear is term limited. He cannot seek a third term. That makes 2027 an open seat race, and it is the only Democratic-held governorship on the ballot in 2027. Beshear has been the most successful Democrat in Kentucky in a generation. I'm just going to say it. I don't like his politics. I don't necessarily like everything that he does. He has been successful as governor of Kentucky. Yes. There's no way of denying that, even no matter what way you slice it, whether it's economics, whether it's policy, social policy, whatever.
His fireside chats
made the man, and I'll give credit where credit is due. Yeah. The people on his staff that told him he needed to do that, they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it.
I didn't miss a one. Every day, 5 o'clock, I'm watching.
And Jen and I were getting married and dating and getting married at the time, and she knew that I was going to be at 5 o'clock. I was going to be watching the Howdy Doody show to see everything that was happening, and we all did it.
I even sent some questions into Tom Latek.
Yeah,
and he would ask them periodically.
Yeah.
But I started sending them too many, and I said, "Man, I'm gonna back off." But he would ask the governor questions that I sent to him. That was always pretty cool.
He won re-election in 2023 in a state that has been trending deep red for more than a decade. The Kentucky governorship is essentially the only functioning Democratic power center in a state where Republicans hold supermajorities in both the houses of the legislature. Holding it in 2027 is a significant national Democratic priority. Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman announced her candidacy over the Derby weekend. She has been closely identified with Beshear's administration and his education agenda. She carries the institutional weight of the office. Atkins represents a different wing of the party, the rural Eastern Kentucky Democrat, old school. I read every comment on the story that we were reading today, and everyone said old school Democrat. Right. They all said that.
Not this liberal left-winger
That's right.
Democrat Socialist America stuff that's taking over the Democrat Party.
Now, the other thing about that is Jacqueline Coleman is a teacher, and she will carry the teachers union.
And that's what put Governor Beshear in office.
So now you're going to have a faction between those two, potentially.
Yeah, because you got the governor's number one advisor who traveled everywhere. You always saw Rocky Atkins in the background of a Governor Beshear photo. And then you got Jacqueline Coleman, who's got some Frankfurt people working for her.
Yeah.
That we know. And it's going to be fun watching them battle it out.
The other thing I'll tell you is that one of the funniest jokes I ever heard Representative Jamie Comer ever tell was he said he had given a speech on a Sunday morning thing, and as soon as he gave it, that he got in the car, and one of his people told him that the lieutenant governor of Kentucky got on him about something that he said, and he turned to him and he goes, "Well, I don't know why Rocky would get on me about something like that. Rocky and I go way back. I don't know. I don't know why he'd be upset with me." The joke being that Rocky Atkins was really the lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
So everything comes to fruition at this point.
It's going to be, I got a lot of friends that know Rocky really well. I don't.
Yeah.
But it's going to be, it will be very, very interesting, and we're going to be all over it.
Oh, yeah. You'll be able to catch everything here. In the 2019 Democratic primary, Atkins dominated Eastern Kentucky, winning more than 80% of the vote in several counties. But Beshear beat him nearly 5-1 in Jefferson County and was similarly dominant in Lexington and Fayette County. Atkins' strength is in the parts of Kentucky that trend Republican in general elections. His weakness in 2019 was in Louisville and Lexington, exactly where Democrats need to run up large numbers to win statewide.
Yep.
And that tension will define the primary. The Republican field is substantial. We've heard a bunch of these names already.
I've got a list, yeah.
The big name is Jamie Comer.
Yeah.
first representative of the first district, House Representative James Comer. Daniel Cameron has been mentioned again. I don't know why he'd want to do that to himself again. Thomas Massey is one that we have heard about, and Savannah Maddox has always been mentioned. For Beshear personally, the bind is real. Endorse Coleman, and you are effectively undercutting your senior advisor for the last 6-7 years. Endorse Atkins, and you're telling your lieutenant governor her ambitions do not have your blessing. The path of least resistance, the non-endorsing statement he issued today.
Hey, well, I wonder if she got Governor Beshear's approval to announce in April.
I have heard that is not.
That's early. That's early.
That's very early. I've heard that's not the case.
Okay.
Craig, Coleman has the institutional advantage being that she was lieutenant governor, and she has the teachers union and the Beshear education brand, which has really been one of his major initiatives. Atkins has Eastern Kentucky and the State House relationship that cross party lines. A lot of Republicans and moderates like Rocky Atkins. There's a reason the House Speaker jokes about calling the governor Rocky. But Atkins was badly outperformed in Louisville and Lexington in 2019, and that's exactly where the Democrats are going to have to win. What happens in a situation where you're going to have to tell Democrats, like, listen, Jacqueline Coleman can win in a primary, but she may not win in a deep red state like this. But Rocky could. Rocky absolutely could be a formidable opponent.
Right. I've got on my list, I've got Rick Harton, who I have no clue who that is. Michael Adams, Comer, Savannah Maddox, Massey, Robert Stivers. I've never heard him get interested in going to the governor. Damon Thayer, Cameron, Kelly Craft again, and billionaire Nate Morris.
All possible.
All possible.
And if 8 people jump in, we're going to be stuck.
Comer's going to walk through it. Yeah.
Let's hope. I mean, but remember, we ended up with Bevin because of that nonsense, several years ago.
But if, I was working in state government then, if Bevin had done I don't want to go into it.
Yeah. All right.
Well, that's too long ago.
Tell me off the air. Well, from Frankfort to Capitol Hill, because we're going to stay in politics, of course, because the other Senate story dominating Washington this weekend is our very own Senator Mitch McConnell, who broke 4 weeks of public silence Sunday night with a statement.
And the internet.
And he has broken the internet at this
point.
Literally
broke the internet.
I want to thank everybody for their memes that they're making right now. The one with Bigfoot today was pretty great. That's pretty awesome. We're going to get into what actually, and he's going to tell us what actually happened. Let's get right into that right now. That's not it. That is not it at all.
Did you not post it?
Looks like we're going to pop it down here. There it is. There we go. Hours after news of Senator Graham's death reached Washington on Sunday, Senator Mitch McConnell released his first public statement since being hospitalized on June 14th. And it does change the picture if it's all true. McConnell did not have a cardiac arrest, according to him. He had a fall on June 14th. The senator says he fell at his Washington home in a way that left him briefly unconscious. His physician confirmed the fall was caused by mobility issues stemming from childhood polio. Bit of a reach. A condition McConnell
he is a polio survivor.
He is a polio survivor. But, he says it's affecting his physical mobility throughout his life, but even more so now. Though he has rarely discussed it publicly. The physician's office stated clearly, no fractures, no concussion, no cardiac abnormalities, no stroke, no tumor, no hemorrhage. While hospitalized and undergoing physical therapy, he developed what his office called a mild case of pneumonia, which was treated with antibiotics and responded rapidly. He is now at a rehabilitation center, unknown where that is, continuing at an intensive physical therapy program.
Isn't that amazing? We don't know where he is.
I have no idea where he is. McConnell, although it's oddly enough, they say that his detail is still at the hospital that he went to.
There's 8,000 reporters in Washington, D.C., and they don't know where he's at.
It's not... Don't believe your lying eyes.
Yeah, and it ain't going to, the liberal reporters, if they knew where McConnell was, they would be staked out there.
Oh, yeah. McConnell's statement to his constituents, as much as it frustrates me, this process takes time, and on the advice of my doctors, I won't be able to return to the Senate floor to vote quite yet, but rest assured that in the meantime, I'm not taking a break from the Senate business that matters to you. his office released a photograph, perhaps the most picked apart photograph in all of history at this point. It was the first public image since his hospitalization, showing the senator seated in a hospital chair holding the Washington Post, the sports page of the Washington Post from yesterday, also very odd, alongside his wife, Elaine Chao. The image shows an alert, engaged man, much different than the McConnell we saw just 4 weeks ago. The EMS dispatch audio that had suggested a cardiac arrest appears to have reflected how first responders initially categorized an unconscious patient before a full medical assessment was completed. That's what we're going to assume at this point. It directly corrects the narrative. Craig, we have a CNN report here that we will get into in a second, but before we do, your initial thoughts about this press release, this discussion, and the much talked about photo.
Well, it's logic. Okay. The dispatch audio described a cardiac arrest at McConnell's Washington D.C. address. The EMT on hand said he was unconscious. They reported CPR in progress shortly after arrival when other teams, got there. It's 8:30 in the morning. They announced he was hospitalized and receiving care, but no detail. I don't understand how, on one hand, he didn't have cardiac arrest, CPR wasn't performed, but then the guys performing CPR that radioed it in on a recorded line, because all those lines are recorded. And apparently NBC News is where I'm getting this from. NBC News reported what the paramedics audio voiced in to the hospital.
And I've heard it. He says CPR has started.
So you've heard the audio also.
Yeah. So now listen, as somebody
how does that happen? And his team doesn't tell us that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And remember last Friday, I told you an anonymous paramedic friend of mine that was a paramedic for 25 years said less than 4% of the people that he performed CPR could communicate the next day or the day after.
Yeah.
4%.
Yeah. I will say this. I've worked with paramedics. I've worked with firefighters. I was the general counsel for that state agency, the board of EMS. They don't say and do and write things down that don't happen. Right? If you don't write it down and if you don't put it over the 911, if you don't put it over the recorded line, it didn't happen, right? So you record everything, but you're not superfluous in what you do either. You don't say things that you didn't do either. So the reason you say things like CPR started, so that the hospital and everyone else knows what the continuity of care is going to need to be throughout that whole process.
They can get the right stuff. Yeah, they can get all the stuff ready for when that patient is brought to the hospital.
I don't believe for a second. This is just my feeling. I will tell you, we're just going by what we know. I don't believe for a second that he is in good shape. I just don't. I once I heard CPR was started, unless there was somebody else at his house that had a cardiac episode.
Right. And because the paramedics did not say it was McConnell, but they might not know who McConnell
they might not.
is.
And
but I don't think.
But
I don't know that they announced the person's name over the radio, because the name means that's the least important thing of all of it.
Correct.
It's the information they provide that they write on their little notebook that they carry. I'm going off of my dad being picked up by an ambulance several times. They write notes down in the book with the questions they ask him. Somebody's taking notes
all the time,
pen to paper. And I'll assume that they use those notes when they get in an ambulance and start driving to the hospital to radio in what's going on, because he wasn't, about to die. My dad wasn't about to die on the spot kind of thing, but they wrote down copious notes. And then once they got him seated in the ambulance, I'm just going to assume logically that they passed on to the hospital what patient they were bringing in at 4:00 in the morning.
Well, but the reality is, though, that there's a lot of unanswered questions. We'll get into what CNN reported earlier too. It's a good point of breaking this down. Let's take a look.
Yeah. Okay.
Speculation over his condition has increased in the past few weeks. That is after he was hospitalized on June 14th. His office has released a photo of the senator and his wife, the former U.S. Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao. McConnell says he was hospitalized after he fell and was briefly unconscious. He says he's now in a rehabilitation center to regain his strength after a mild case of pneumonia. Now, CNN did obtain video that shows an ambulance at the senator's residence. This was in June. But until now, no one knew what the emergency was. The lawmaker says he did not break any bones or have a heart attack or stroke. And a doctor's note attached to his statement also referred to his injuries as minor. McConnell has a history of health issues. He is a childhood polio survivor and suffered a concussion from another fall that was just a few years ago.
Joining me right now.
So, good recap of everything that happened right there.
There was two things I want to point out. She said twice. She said McConnell says, and the third one was she said the lawmaker says. Did they talk to McConnell?
Well, I mean, they're
or was she just
assuming from the statement?
I mean, she's reading off the teleprompter.
Right.
We know that. So, but she said McConnell says, quote, McConnell says twice. And then she said the lawmaker says.
Well, I
So, I
assume
don't know
she's
what that
quoting
means.
from their, his.
Yeah, I don't
press
know.
release.
I just odd that, he was in cardiac arrest, so he is not able to verbally talk. I wouldn't think.
This is now
but
a piece where they're going to talk to a doctor, an emergency room doctor, and ask him about the photo and all of the things leading up to this.
Dr. Jeremy Faust. He's an assistant professor of emergency medicine at Harvard Medical School. It's very good to see you, doctor. Thank you for being here. You'd previously said, before any information had come out, that you really thought that what information was out there was quite concerning about the senator. Now he has a statement that he was hospitalized after a fall, that he lost consciousness briefly, that he developed pneumonia. The doctors, though, according to the office as it was put out, said that he had no fractures, no cardiac abnormalities, no stroke, tumor, or hemorrhage. What do you make of this now?
Watch his face.
The problem that we have here is a mismatch between the description of what's occurred
and
to
reality.
the senator and the level of care he's needing. If his team is saying that he had a fall and a mild case of pneumonia, that doesn't really comport with somebody who's been in the hospital for almost a month now and not communicative with the public. We hear lots of different stories online and on your network about the communication, but if it's that mild, then it really wouldn't necessitate this level of care. On the other hand, if he did receive CPR, which they're not saying he did, it would be much more likely that he would need long-term care. So I'm worried that there are some missing pieces here, because falls can be devastating and pneumonia can be devastating, can cause sepsis and death, but it sounds to me like a mild case wouldn't be that. So I think that there are a lot of questions still.
Still a mismatch there on information and details is a good way of putting it. It's good to see you, Dr. Faust. Thank you so much.
Let's turn now to the ongoing absence of Senator Mitch McConnell. His office.
Before we go on to this next section, your thoughts on what the good doctor said.
Well, my dad at 89 did have a mild case of pneumonia. He was in the hospital about 4 days, and they eliminated the pneumonia. They did a drain. However they did that, they did that somewhere else in the hospital. But then gave him antibiotics and sent him home, and he was fine after 4 days. He wasn't in there for a month. He's 89. He was weak, but it was only 4 days, and they described it as a mild case of pneumonia. Now, human beings are different. One is stronger than another.
Listen, you saw him on June 11th.
Yeah.
You're telling me that not only is he better, he's significantly better than he was on June 11th.
Well, and the memes are just crazy out there. Said the longer he stays in the hospital, the younger he looks. And I can just go off of what my dad did, because pneumonia did take him away at age 90, and it was quick. and it was a severe case of pneumonia. They couldn't get the fluid out of there quick enough, and that's what caused him to pass. So, but a mild case, he was home in 4 days, and he was 5 years older than McConnell, and wasn't real strong at 89 anyway. So we thought the first case might have been the end, but our hospital here in Frankfurt gave him great care and fixed him. So a light case isn't going to keep you in the hospital for 30 days. There ain't no way.
It would not necessitate the level of care that he has had. And I think that's the biggest thing here. We'll get into what she brings to the table.
This initially not saying much. They're now finally giving some more details, and they say that he fell. What can you tell us?
Yeah.
Exactly. They're saying that there was no significant cardiac episode, that he did not have a stroke or a seizure, and that he simply fell and also was dealing with a mild bit of pneumonia once he was in the hospital. Obviously, this had gone on for several weeks without any details about Mitch McConnell's health, and he really did address that yesterday in this statement from his, saying that it's not atypical for people of his age to want to keep their health private. He said he certainly had that tendency and that inclination in deciding.
What's that?
That's McConnell's statement that his office sent out saying this. My dad told all his friends. He said, I survived another
health diagnoses private himself, but he said he did recognize that he was an elected official, that people were asking questions, and that he owed it to his constituents who elected him in the state of Kentucky to make clear what his condition was. He's not returning to the Senate this week. In fact, he said that he's got some more recovery to do, but obviously that is the latest and a lot more detail than we had gotten for about a month, waiting for what was next with Mitch McConnell.
All right, Lauren Fox, thank you for the latest.
Let me add one thing. There have been legislators that were ill that got rolled into the Senate chamber in a wheelchair just to make the vote. Then they go back to the rehab facility.
Correct.
So if he's in rehab, he's sitting up like that smiling, which there aren't many pictures of McConnell smiling ever. And there's big Senate votes coming up, and he's in rehab, he can hop in a wheelchair. They could roll him down to cast his vote, make that statement for America to see that the longest serving Senate president, whatever they call it, in history is getting better. And the left would like to see McConnell back in the Senate just as much as the right, because he's voted against Trump on several occasions
and would continue to do so, just as to be a bane of his existence at this point. You know, the thing about McConnell is that this shy, humble routine that, I just don't want people to really, know my personal business. That's not McConnell at all. That has never been McConnell.
He's not a private citizen like you.
And he knows that. He knows that. And
people across the world know who Mitch McConnell is, not just
this
Kentucky.
idea that all of a sudden he's worried about his shy, humble personality, and I don't want a lot of people to know all my stuff. It's baloney. And I also don't believe that if he was this healthy and nothing was that bad, that he would not have had video of him on the phone and doing his other things. That's who Mitch McConnell is. All right. Mitch McConnell wants a clear evidence that he is still with it. It's his ego. Yeah. He's not going to give it up that way.
Why ain't Scott Jennings got audio of their supposed one of the many 20-minute phone calls that all these people said they made with Senator McConnell?
I don't believe that for a second. Well, whatever relief McConnell's statement brings about his prognosis, it does not change the immediate legislative picture on the Senate floor. The Senate returned today for a 4-week work period, and it returned with 2 of its most senior Republican defense and foreign policy voices either gone or absent. Graham has now passed away. McConnell is in allegedly in a rehabilitation center. Could be anywhere for all we know. Republicans entered into the Congress with a 53-47 majority. Subtract Graham, and that is 52. McConnell's continued absence means the effective working majority
51.
Goes down to 51 on the closely divided Senate Appropriations Committee, and specifically the Subcommittee on Defense, which McConnell chairs. His absence creates real complications for procedural votes, and any close divisions on the National Defense Authorization Act, which is huge right now. The NDAA has passed every year for more than 6 decades, navigating it through a committee that is shorthanded at the very top without the 2 senators most directly involved in the defense and foreign policy dimensions of the legislation. Sounds like one of those may have been filled today if they will leave her on that committee. I don't know that they're even allowed to leave her on that committee.
Yeah, well, she won't be she'll just be a placeholder. She won't be the number 2.
Senator Thune and the Republican leadership team have said they will proceed on schedule. Thomas Massey separately disclosed that in a phone call, McConnell said he supported him on all of his stuff and felt bad about his election. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't believe that either. There's no way McConnell supported Massey. I mean, I'm just wondering if McConnell over the last 6-8 months has, or since Trump's been in office the second time, is McConnell pulling the levers, or is he getting manipulated behind the scenes by his staff like Joe Biden was?
I don't know, but I will tell you that even when Mitch McConnell has not been well, Mitch McConnell has still, and his team have put out ferocious advocacy points of the things that he's doing, even for the people back in Kentucky here. And you're not seeing that right now. You're essentially seeing people play defense, like a campaigns in refrigeration mode or something. I don't know what they're doing right now. So
the non-transparency is
palpable.
Horrible. It's horrible.
At this point. It's
I don't know what that means, but it's
you
horrible.
And I said this before we went on the air. We both want Senator McConnell to get healthy and get better. We would never wish ill on anybody, but we want transparency more than anything in the world, and I don't think we're getting it, and I don't think that picture added any more transparency than it did. And if anything, it's now the most probably grokked and AI reverse image, looked up picture of all time.
I'll ask Grok that while you're talking.
From the Senate to the newsroom, because on Friday, federal agents showed up at the home of a journalist with grand jury subpoenas, and that extraordinary step goes to the heart of one of the most contested questions in American constitutional life right now. On July 8th, the same day the Iran ceasefire collapsed at the NATO summit in Ankara, the New York Times published a story that drew immediate and intense attention inside the White House, written by Julian Barnes, Eric Lipton, Tyler Pager, maybe Pager, and Eric Schmidt. The article reported that President Trump had switched to an older Air Force One jet when departing the NATO summit in Turkey, rather than the new Qatari-gifted Boeing 747-8, retrofitted at a cost of $400 million. The Times reported that the switch was made on the recommendation of the Secret Service because the new jet lacked certain security and countermeasure technologies, a significant concern given that Turkey and Iran share a border, and Iran had repeatedly threatened Trump's life during the conflict. Before publication, allegedly, a senior FBI official contacted a Times reporter and senior editor, asking them to withhold the article on national security grounds, and the Times declined. That's the bigger story here, Craig. Listen, you and I, as news guys and news junkies, we are all for freedom of the press. But there was a time in this world, Craig, where if it was a national security issue or someone's life was at risk, you didn't publish something.
Published. Right.
What are we doing?
Well, I always like it when CNN or Fox or somebody, it doesn't matter. This ain't a conservative or liberal thing. When they break news, said this secret just found out about the U.S. military and this plane or that rocket or that missile. Why in the hell do they tell the world? What jollies do they get by revealing America's secrets to the world?
What benefit?
And then to say, well, Trump switched planes. Was it because Iran was going to attempt to shoot the jet down? Was it because it didn't have the defense measures? I don't know why they list that stuff, because it's national security secrets, and I'm all for freedom of the press, but damn, don't tell everything about the United States to the whole world.
I don't like anything about this story. I don't like the fact that they were asked to do it and the Times said no. I don't like the fact that the Justice Department has now issued subpoenas for these people. I don't like that either. I think it's all gross, and it doesn't need to be this way. There is this struggle that not only can we not get along, but what benefit does it make to tell everybody in the world that the president isn't using a specific plane, because all that's going to do is make it more of a target. And I don't understand that.
And the Justice Department are looking for the leakers that told the New York Times that story. So what does that tell you about the people that work on not the inner circle or their second inner circle, but the third or fourth inner circle that know about these things, and they run to the press? I mean, you could call these people traitors because they're telling information on Air Force One that's a not far rocket shot from Iran, because Turkey and Iran have share a border. It is not far and unthinkable that they could even, just make an attempt, because the propaganda they would get off making an attempt at attacking Air Force One, they'd use it for 50 years. So we're not scared of the big bad United States of America. We tried to take the president out.
You and I talked about this on Friday's show. We were like, president even said something kind of weird, like maybe you should turn all the lights off because you know I'm a target. I believe now that someone in the press pool is the one who leaked that information, and
but they had to get it from somebody inside.
He was they were on it. They had to be on the plane. I mean, they're in the press pool. So I mean, why risk your own life for that? What benefit did this make? Why publish this?
Because they hate Trump. That can be the only thing you can say.
They could have died just reporting that he was using a different plane.
Well, maybe after that reporter made it, he hopped a commercial flight back to America.
Well, the subpoenas were issued by.
This could be treasonous. I think it's not a long reach to say this is treasonous.
Absolutely crazy, especially considering all the things that we've talked about on this show. The subpoenas were issued by U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton of the Southern District of New York. Also don't like this aspect of the story, who was just nominated by President Trump to be the next director of national intelligence, and ordered the journalist to appear before a federal grand jury in Manhattan on Wednesday, July 16th. Trump denied any security concerns with the jet, saying the Mildenhall stop was for service members to view the aircraft. He later said of Iran threats,
That's one in England, right?
I have a threat all the time. I'm number one on their list. Craig, the DOJ has been deliberate in how it frames this action, and its argument deserves a clear statement because it's not frivolous. A spokesperson said the department appreciates the role of the press, but emphasized, we are not going to ignore the law and stop investigating the people who work in the administration and think it's okay to leak classified information impacting national security. The department's position is that the subpoenas target government officials who disclose sensitive information, not the journalists who reported it. Attorney General Bondi had previously, when she was serving, issued a memo stating that members of the press are presumptively entitled to advance notice of investigative activities, that subpoenas should be narrowly drawn, and that warrants must include protocols limiting intrusion into news gathering. Whether those standards were met is contested. On the other side, the National Press Club called agents arriving at reporters' homes an extraordinary assault on the freedom of the press, although I would ask where they were during the Biden administration when that happened to Jeff Greenwald. That is what it is. But
it was okay for the previous Democratic administrations to do it, but all of a sudden it ain't.
The Reporters Committee said the subpoenas break from longstanding DOJ practice requiring prosecutors to exhaust all other avenues before seeking information from journalists. The Times top lawyer called it a brazen act designed to intimidate journalists from doing their jobs. This is the third major outlet subpoenaed in 2026 after the Washington Post and Wall Street Journal, whose subpoenas were later withdrawn. The FBI also searched Washington Post reporter Hannah Nathanson's home in January, seizing phones and laptops. Each case was framed as a leak investigation. Each was contested as press intimidation. The pattern matters as much as the individual case. This is not new to any administration. I don't care what anybody says. This has happened since Watergate and will likely continue.
Yeah, and acting AG Blanche, we have seen since he's taken over for Bondi that he don't mess around.
He does not.
He doesn't talk. He doesn't do any of these things. He is an action guy, and they want to find these. Because I remember when Obama came in office, he said we're going to find these leakers, the leakers from the George Bush era. He said we're going to find the leakers. Of course, you never heard nothing about it. Trump found Trump found a bunch in when he was 45, and then when Biden comes in, it was amazingly quiet.
Yeah.
The press wasn't digging into anything, no leaks coming out of the White House. But then the day Trump gets in office, there's a flood of leaks again.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how that happens.
I also think it's interesting that some of these subpoenas, which we have said have been withdrawn, actually led to people being prosecuted because they did find the leakers in the Department of Defense.
Correct.
So
yes,
take that for what it's worth. But these.
But I don't see what jollies they get out of putting classified information to the press, and then the press saying, "Hey, let's go, let's run with it." Yeah. I don't understand it at all, because I just think it's un-American to give away the government secrets. You want to know some of the secrets, but when it's this kind of stuff involving a president or a member of Congress, that's not a good thing.
No,
for
not
the
at all.
press to run with.
Well, we will from the domestic press freedom debate to an actual war zone, because the exchange of strikes between the United States and Iran reached its highest intensity over the weekend, and a country that has served as the region's most trusted diplomatic neutral is now directly in the crossfires. Just breaking since we've been on the air, the U.S. is conducting, in the middle of it right now, a third straight night of strikes on Iran, saying that they will continue to exercise sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz at this point. We'll get into this.
He says hit Iran very hard.
Yeah.
He's not used those words before.
The exchange of military strikes between the United States and Iran escalated to its highest level of current conflict over the weekend. U.S. Central Command struck approximately 140 Iranian military targets Sunday night into Monday, the largest single night package since the ceasefire collapsed. They have already hit over 100 targets tonight, it sounds like. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps responded with 5 waves of missile attacks on American military installations across the region. The target list now includes 5 countries. Prior rounds had struck U.S. facilities in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar. This round added Oman, the country that sits directly across the Strait of Hormuz, bad move, from Iran's coastline, and that has historically served as the most prominent neutral diplomatic back channel between Washington and Tehran. The IRGC said it struck fuel tanks and Patriot systems at Al Salem Air Base in Kuwait, helicopter repair and drone command systems at Isa Air Base in Bahrain, and missile silos and fuel tanks at Prince Hassan Air Base in Jordan. Bringing Oman into the strike zone is a significant decision because Oman has been the country that both the U.S. and Iran have historically trusted to carry messages when official channels are closed. It was Oman that facilitated the early talks that led to the original ceasefire framework, striking American facilities there, even as Oman was actively trying to help arrange the Strait of Hormuz negotiation, is an act that carries real risk of severing the very diplomatic channel Iran claims that it wants to use. Craig, Oman is not inside Iran's strike zone, the same country that brokered the talks. Excuse me, Craig, they are now inside their strike zone, the same country that brokered the peace deal. 5 countries have been hit by Iranian missiles in the latest round, 140 U.S. strikes last night, over 100 so far tonight, and yet Oman is simultaneously hosting Strait-specific talks. Qatar's FM is in Tehran, and a second Switzerland round is expected this weekend. How does hitting your primary diplomatic back channel square with a government that says it wants to negotiate a solution?
It doesn't. You said square, it's round. It doesn't make a lick of sense. And there was, I don't know why you're trying to bomb the people that you're trying to work a deal with to take over the Persian Gulf and the Strait. But so there's something come out after 4:00 that's saying Saudi Arabia and Iraq, northern Iraq, are going to start using. Saudi Arabia will use their oil pipeline that crosses Saudi Arabia to go to the Red Sea.
Yep.
Northern Iraq will go to the Mediterranean Sea. They talked about the pipeline from Saudi Arabia through Oman to the Arabian Sea that we talked about, a couple of weeks ago. So they're getting ready to shut Iran down completely and say, go ahead and take over the strait, control the strait all you want.
Not going to affect us at all.
Yeah, Iraq will send. They're currently 95% of Iraq's oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz.
Right.
They'll just start going through the Mediterranean Sea.
Why wouldn't you?
What's north of the Mediterranean Sea? Europe.
Yeah.
They start messing with their Mediterranean Sea, then Europe's going to have to get involved. But Iraq, Saudi Arabia going to the Red Sea, and then Saudi Arabia going through Oman into the Arabian Sea. It's going to be, and they said it'll take a few years. That's not that long. Saudi Arabia's already exists. Iraq to the Mediterranean doesn't, but said they could make it in 2 or 3 years. That's not that big of a timeline.
It's not. It's not. But here's the other aspect of this is that this just proves, this absolutely proves that you are dealing with psychopaths there.
100%.
People that make no sense at all.
Well, we learned that when they killed 30 to 40,000 of their own
people. Yeah,
people protesting. We learned that already, and now you're bombing the countries that they're bombing military bases. Is what they're doing. They're not.
They are, but
the country.
But these are
still the country.
That's right. That's right. Because they're not hitting the bases. They're not hitting the bases a lot of times.
They're still going through their airspace.
Right.
And then
they're landing in their desert or wherever else.
The Houthis in Yemen are getting ready to start hitting American ships in Israel again. Man, I tell you, Trump's at his wit's end.
Well, I think we are too, and I hate that it's gotten to be that way.
He's tired of dealing with them. Their air defenses are crap. Yeah. We can bomb them at will at night. We already know where everything's at. Israel's obviously got the best spy network in the world,
right?
Including in our own country.
Well, they said that they foiled an attack on President Trump just over the weekend.
Over their information, yeah. So the people, they're tired of it. They're making plans to just basically shut Iran out. And then now that we've destroyed the train tracks going to China and Russia, and they're also dealing with their 90 million people that are upset with them and a 7-year drought.
Yeah,
Iran is on the precipice of falling off the cliff.
They are.
And we supposedly started the economic blockade again.
They did, and Trump said that he'll control the strait if he wants to.
And he'll start charging tolls.
Yeah, right. To just Iranians and Russia.
To pay for our military being there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we will close tonight in your favorite Senate race, Craig, because we're in Maine. Where 5 o'clock this afternoon was the legal deadline. The convention is now 12 days away, and the race to replace Graham Plattner is now formally underway. At 5 o'clock this afternoon, the legal window for Graham Plattner's formal withdrawal from the Maine Senate race closed under state law. With that threshold crossed, the Maine Democrat Party now has until July 27th, 2 weeks from today, to name a replacement. No political party in Maine has ever replaced its general election nominee before. The process, a 601 delegate nominating convention on July 25th in Bangor. It's going to be a banger. I'm going to want to watch this. It's going to be fascinating. And not for all the reasons that people think. I want to see all of the blue-haired kids against the blue-haired Democrats.
And
because they don't have a clue how. You've seen it. I've seen it when they had the California Socialist Party group. They got together and people were yelling because they were like, "You all are being too loud." And remember, we have sensory problems. You all don't know what you're about to get into. And this thing is going to be a mess. And I am here for it. It's going to be so good.
It'll be must-see TV. And the DSA side of Maine, which Plattner is. They've got their candidate, the normal Democrats. I don't know what else you could say. The normal Democrats, they've got their candidate, and then there'll be 15 others that come in. I hope they televise this convention because I want to hear the speeches.
It's going to be so good.
The vote will be the anticlimax to the speeches and the protest. the sign holding up.
You're going to hear so much crazy.
Will,
It'll be it'll be like Fancy Farm.
Will Roy Singham be paying for all the signs?
Probably. They'll be the nicest signs you've ever seen.
Yeah, so it's going to be. I hope they televise it. I don't know if they will, but gosh, I hope they do.
So 600 delegates will be elected at county level meetings happening over the next several days, which also will be fascinating because what's going to happen is Roy Singham and these guys, and George Soros, they're going to push all of these activists into these county-wide meetings.
Yeah,
that's who's going to get elected into all of these positions at these things if they're not careful.
600 delegates. There's only 16. There's only 16 counties.
600 delegates.
Holy crap.
This is going to be great. 101 state committee members will also participate. All delegates are unpledged. Candidates must declare their intent by July 15th, 2 days from now, and collect at least 500 signatures. I'm sure those will all be verified.
Yeah.
With at least 50 from each of 8 of Maine's 16 counties. Oh my God!
I didn't know they only had. It's a big state for only 16 counties.
That is about 1/4 of normal ballot qualification requirements compressed into roughly 1 week instead of 2 months. Maine Democratic Party Chair Charlie Dingman acknowledged the situation, saying, quote, "We are up against a timeline that we did not choose, and we face legal limitations because our laws never anticipated this unusual challenge." Maybe should have picked somebody that wasn't a total tool. One structural detail that will shape the outcome: the independents and unenrolled voters who helped Power Plattners win in June are locked out of this process entirely. Only registered Democrats can sign petitions and serve as delegates. The convention therefore draws from a pool that skews toward party regulars, which may favor a more establishment-oriented candidate. It absolutely will.
That'd be great.
Over the insurgent coalition Plattner assembled. But what's going to end up happening is you'll only there will not be anybody middle of the road. You are going to have fully established old school Democrats, and you will have the full blown communists.
I wonder if Bernie will be up there, and I wonder if
he started this mess. He ought to have to be there.
I wonder if he'll be there. I wonder if Elizabeth Warren will be there. I wonder if Ro Khanna will be there.
They're so far away from that place. They're going to be so far away from there.
Chuck Schumer going to be there.
Oh, I'm telling you right now, there will be so many videos from this convention. They may block cameras from coming in because they know it's going to be just a mess.
It will be a Donnybrook.
It's going to be wild.
I just cannot wait to see this. If you're a political junkie, this is going to be must-see TV.
Well, once again, this is Kamala Harris 2.0. Whoever they choose is going to be somebody, unless it's Janet Mills, which I doubt it will be, but whoever they choose is going to be somebody with absolutely 0 votes in the primary process. So they're going to
she could say she got some, but she had already dropped out
and ended up, at way in the back. At, 17%, and he had 73 or something. It was
72 point something. Almost 73%.
The field forming around the Maine Democrat. This is great. Convention represents a real primary in compressed form. Nirav Shah, the former director of Maine CDC, has officially launched with a packed press conference and is widely seen as the most broadly electable candidate in the field. Shah earned the most first-round votes in last month's Democratic gubernatorial primary, before losing in the ranked choice runoff, another stupid form of government, but whatever. His name recognition from the pandemic years and his ability to communicate clearly on complex topics are genuine assets in a general election environment. Former Maine Senate President Troy Jackson, endorsed by Bernie Sanders and the natural heir to Plattner's progressive platform and Eastern Maine coalition, is officially in the race. He's already said so. Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows has announced her candidacy, bringing institutional credibility and statewide visibility. Jordan Wood, a former congressional staffer, has also indicated interest. The underlying challenge for all of them: Susan Collins has not lost a Senate race in Maine since 1996. She is organized, well-funded, and has had a front-row seat to 2 weeks of Democratic self-immolation from a...
I bet she's in a recliner laughing her head.
This is just, don't say anything, right? Just go to the basement.
Yeah, let them do it themselves. That's right.
Whoever emerges from Bangor on July 25th has roughly 120 days. We've heard that before, haven't we?
Say that again.
120 days from scratch, consolidate a fractured party, raise money, and take on one of the most experienced Senate incumbents in the country, even if she appears to be vulnerable. I don't know how you pull this one off after the mess you just.
She was supposed to lose last time
won by 8
6 points, and she won by 8 or 9.
Yeah.
So that proved the polls were wrong, and she's got to be, and her team have got to be just sitting back, laughing their rumps off, saying this could not be better, because they were neck and neck. He was actually ahead at one time, 12 points.
Yeah.
He was way early on. He was way ahead.
Well, the situation in Maine is 100% self-inflicted. And they had Janet Mills, a credible, experienced governor with statewide
who
took on Trump. Trump, laid a smackdown in the White House. She didn't like it. He got better press out of it than she did. The process produced Plattner instead. There were repeated and early warning signs that most national allies chose to ignore until the money dried up. Now they have a 12-day convention process and roughly 100 days to beat Susan Collins. Whoever you get's going to be milquetoast. They're not going to be the Graham Plattner. I don't think. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I think you're going to get somebody that's bland that they can all try to get behind, or you're going to get a radical. You're going to get an absolute radical that will not appeal to your.
What will change logically? Because if they pick somebody that is middle of the road, like an Andy Beshear, supposedly middle of the road, but if they say they pick a middle of the road guy, and the far left wing guy got 73% of the vote, what does that tell the DSA? Says, look, we won the election going away by maybe the largest majorities ever, 40 points. And then we're not going to pick the same guy, but somebody that's, he has our DSA beliefs, but he might not have he or she will not have the background of him. They have to, or the Democrat Party in Maine's toast.
Who do you think? You think Collins wins this?
No, I don't have no doubt.
I think the Senate is lost.
Once it pulled close, and after what she's done the last 2 elections in a Democrat state, but she battles Trump. She votes against Trump.
She does
enough that the media recognizes it. I don't see how she can't win. Regardless,
I said this last week. I said this last week. I may have said it the week before when all the Plattner stuff was coming out. But the Senate is lost for Democrats.
They're not going to win.
They should genuinely focus on the House. I think there's still probably a 60-40 chance that they win the House, although not really. I'm seeing a lot of momentum now, as we thought there would be.
Polls are not favoring the historic change in the first election after the opposite president comes in. The opposite party always wins the House. So that is not holding true right now from all the national polls and the videos I watch of the 50 state cumulative thing.
What people are missing is the fact that if it's in the margin of error, Republican voting is significantly undercounted in these polls.
Well, and we might pick up one in Michigan.
You absolutely could pick up one in Michigan.
Mr. Muslim running in a Roy Singham backed candidate.
I think that's just one more I mean, I think it's entirely possible that it could be 55-45. Call me crazy. I really think that's a possibility. Yeah. But they're not gonna flip. Even if they had 50-50, you're gonna have somebody in McConnell's seat that is more in line with President Trump. Yeah. You're not gonna have
Trump
somebody.
Trump will gain that vote.
Right. You're gaining a vote in Bill Cassidy's seat. He's gone. You're gonna end up gaining a vote there. You already have Fetterman. If it's 50-50, Trump has a pretty good agenda that he can get through with the ones that he has. And even Susan Collins has said that she's considering supporting the SAVE Act. And I think that's a real possibility. It may
that's
not
important.
come.
That's important.
It really is. So we'll have to see where we go from there. Craig, anything before we get out of here today?
Tyran Stokes.
Oh, boy.
Just touch on that a bit. He He was either late for practice or came woefully unprepared. He had to run sprints in blue jeans and a designer T-shirt.
Yeah.
And this is the guy that, played Kentucky for a month or 6 weeks, had the fan base all going crazy. So just in the last, today's the 13th, just in the last 9 days, he's made national media for hanging out with a bunch of rappers and shooting off Roman candles by holding them in his hands. And then yesterday, Kyle and I are texting back and forth. It's crazy. He's running in sprints. All the other guys are in their gear, no shirts, because I think it was 88 degrees.
It was, yeah.
On campus, and he's in blue jeans or blue jean material, full-length pants, and a designer T-shirt, not a KU type gear that you see all the players wearing. I'm glad we didn't get him. We predicted this from his high school escapades and his AAU escapades. I am so glad we did not get this guy.
I will tell you that when you and I were talking about it, that was not a Kentucky source that we were seeing that. We were seeing it.
It was Kansas.
It was Kansas people who were like, "What is going on in this picture?"
Two of those guys. Now, I told you, I'm following just to stay up on that. The one guy was not a happy camper. He said, "Is this what we're dealing?" And don't forget, their coach, he had a heart attack last year and almost retired. And that some media guys wondered if Tyrann Stokes would drive him into another heart attack.
Yeah. I will, before we get off, I'm glad we missed on the Tyrann Stokes thing. Not going to lie. I think it's good. I will say this. I have just gotten a text message from an anonymous source, and in it says Allison Lonergan-Grimes will not be Rocky's running mate. That would be a death kiss from the Bashir side, who has a long-running feud going back 4 decades.
Right, yeah, they railroaded Jerry Lonergan. I don't care. I'll say it all day long.
Yeah.
Over minor BS.
Yeah.
Father helping a daughter run a campaign, and they put the screws to Jerry something hard.
Well, I will check with my sources. This source that I have is a great source, but I will also check with my other source that told me that the offer had been made.
Lonergan's from up there in Maysville area too.
Yeah. And
he has done many, many things with the floods and his emergency and disaster service company in Eastern Kentucky. Allison would be a very good lieutenant governor candidate for Rocky to come in.
But if it's gonna cut off the support from,
well, who's the Bashir people going to go to? The lieutenant governor?
I don't know if he tells them to.
That's why this is going to be so interesting to watch.
Yeah, we'll have to sit back and watch. The next year, I told you all, as soon as this election is over in November, don't rest, because we just start right back up into state constitutional offices here in Kentucky, and it's going to be a brutal, because there is only one Democrat elected statewide, and that's Governor Bashir. The Republicans have never had a full slate since the founding of the Constitution in the state of Kentucky, and I think this is going to be potentially the first time that happens.
Just got a picture from the mayor of Lawrenceburg. Great place to pick up dinner when in Frankfort. Guess what the picture includes?
This portion of the
show, Da Vinci's Pizza Box.
This portion of the show is going to be brought to you by Da Vinci's Pizza.
Yeah.
If you
that's
want
a mayor in another town sending me a text of one of our pizza boxes. So that's great.
If you want good pizza for you and your family, go to Da Vinci's Pizza.
Yeah. And if you want to listen to a lot of facts, not
come here,
innuendo about the upcoming elections, about UK sports, about sports in general, come here also.
Yeah. Well, we are going to have lots of news on this. You and I have already talked to some people who are going to come on the show, and we're really looking forward to it. I think we'll have a couple of surprise guests this week. We're still working on days they're going to be here, but we'll make that happen. Anything else before we get out of here?
Nope.
All right. Well, Craig, thank you as always. And for all of you, thank you for joining us. We know you could spend your time doing a lot of things. We thank you all for joining us every weekday here at 5 o'clock. To everyone watching and listening, we greatly appreciate you guys. If you haven't, give us a like. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Share it with someone who also needs to be above the noise. And until next time, make sure that you stay informed, stay sharp, and stay above the noise. Hope you guys have a great Monday night. Let's get a good start to the week. Talk to you soon. Bye.